The latest moves of Pope Leo XIV have sparked an unexpected and growing backlash throughout the Catholic world. A shock that no one expected. From bishops, priests, lay people, entire families, now a strong, heartfelt, urgent appeal is raised. LifeSite News is leading the way, and at this delicate moment, we cannot afford to ignore it. Stay with us until the end. Just a few days after the election of Pope Leo XIV, a glimmer of hope had arisen among many Catholics attentive to doctrine and liturgy. After years in which the voice of tradition had been marginalized or barely tolerated, the change at the top of the Church finally seemed to offer a possibility of restoration. The removal of Archbishop Vincenzo Paglia from key positions had prompted a sigh of relief, a sign that perhaps a new page was truly being turned. Yet that hope was abruptly dashed by one of the first significant decisions of the new pontificate, the appointment of Monsignor Renzo Pegoraro to lead the Pontifical Academy for Life, a name that does not come from nowhere, but from within the very machine that has generated so many of the moral crises of recent years, a name that evokes continuity rather than correction. For many, it was a bitter awakening. To understand how weighty the significance of Renzo Pegoraro's nomination is, we must first go back and look honestly at what Archbishop Vincenzo Paglia has represented in the recent history of the Church. Paglia was not a passing official. He was the very symbol of a period in which moral clarity was replaced by a nuanced language, in which principles seemed negotiable, and in which the most identifying institutions of the Church were slowly emptied of their original meaning. In 2016, he was directly chosen by Pope Francis to lead both the Pontifical Academy for Life and the John Paul II Institute for Studies on Marriage and Family. Two strongholds of Catholic thought in the fields of bioethics and family were thus entrusted to a man whose vision was anything but orthodox. His actions spoke louder than his words. In a few years, the institute was completely restructured, the teaching staff replaced, the doctrinal positions toned down, to the point that the Catholic press itself did not hesitate to speak openly of a purge. No less significant was the revision of the entry criteria into the Pontifical Academy for Life, where the requirements of adherence to the pro-life teaching of the Church were removed. Added to this were public declarations of esteem towards personalities and laws, in clear contrast with the Catholic vision of the person and society. The mission of the Academy, born to affirm the non-negotiable value of human life, was thus reoriented towards a dialogical approach which many perceived as a cultural surrender. This is the legacy that Paglia leaves, and in all of this, Monsignor Renzo Pegoraro was already there, not as a spectator, but as a top figure. Since 2011, Chancellor of the Academy, or second in command. He signed documents, co-managed decision-making processes, supported reforms, and above all, he never publicly distanced himself from the most divisive choices. This is why his nomination as president cannot be read as a change of pace. On the contrary, it appears as an internal promotion, perfectly consistent with the path traced so far. And this is precisely why LifeSite News has launched a public appeal to Pope Leo XIV, asking him to reverse course and return the Academy for Life to its original mission, to defend human dignity and the sacredness of life without compromise. It's not just a question of assignments, it's a signal. And like all signals, it must be read in context. In a historical moment in which millions of faithful ask the Church for clear guidance, a limpid message, an unequivocal course, the impression one gets is that of a misstep, or worse, of a confirmation that nothing deep down is really changing. This is why, from many quarters, theologians, priests, committed lay people, there is a passionate but firm appeal. This is not the beginning we expected, and we cannot remain silent. If ambiguous signals are coming from Rome, the air in Vienna is no longer reassuring. After the retirement of Cardinal Christoph Schönborn, the archiepiscopal seat remained vacant for months, arousing expectation and hope for a new leader capable of rebuilding what had fallen apart in recent years. But the name that is circulating persistently, leaked from internal circles of the Austrian Church, has chilled many of the faithful. Monsignor Hermann Glettler. This is a bishop known for a creative approach, to use a euphemism, to liturgy and sacred art. His aesthetic choices, highly dissonant installations, provocative symbolism, and interpretative performances have often caused disturbance among the faithful and have often been perceived as real provocations to the sense of the sacred. In particular, he hosted in the churches of his diocese works with ambiguous content, difficult to reconcile with the Catholic iconographic tradition. Some representations have provoked strong reactions, even among moderate theologians, due to their evident symbolic charge in contrast with the mystery they should express. It is not just the art that is worrying, it is the message. Glettler has constructed a narrative where avant-garde aesthetics seems to become the instrument for a pastoral that, rather than announcing the truth, dilutes it. He has often been praised by the secular media for his dialogue with contemporary culture, but has rarely, if ever, distinguished himself with a forceful call to doctrine or conversion of heart. His attention seems to be directed more towards social and climate issues than towards the spiritual crisis of the Church, as he himself declared in numerous public speeches. LifeSite News, picking up on this discontent, has launched a public, clear, supplicating appeal to Pope Leo XIV. Not an act of rebellion, but a heartfelt request for truth. Because the Church needs pastors who say yes when it is yes and no when it is no, who do not put light and shadow on the same level, but who go back to calling by name what is right and what is not. The appeal is not only doctrinal, but profoundly pastoral. Those who look to Rome today, be they young Catholics, families, doctors, theologians, or simple believers, are not looking for political strategies or balances. Seek guidance, seek certainty, seek refuge amidst cultural confusion. And when that refuge seems to falter, the soul is lost. Pope Leo XIV has before him the historic opportunity to raise the banner of life, truth, and beauty. But every day that passes without clear answers, without coherent gestures, makes that task more difficult. The appeal of LifeSite News, then, is also an act of trust. The trust that, beyond the curial maneuvers, beyond the internal pressures, there is still room for courage. That which does not seek consensus, but the salvation of souls. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment Amen. God bless you.